So, hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Straight Talk. Sorry about last week. I was out in Soledad traveling, finishing up the deals. And so we're back this week. We had a guest, but something happened and he had to bail at the last moment. It was going to be discussion on politics and how that works for state employees. So I'd like to open it up a little bit and give everybody an opportunity. Remember, we're going to stick to the 2-minute rule. And after 2 minutes, if you want to get back at the end of the line and get in the queue, you can. And I'd like to stay on the topics of both, building membership, the contract, and looking forward as much as we can. So with that in mind, let's jump over here. And you'll have to excuse me if I have trouble with a few of the names here and there. So I have P. Nicolovo. Can you unmute?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. Good evening.
Good evening. So I have a question. What is your strategy of the negotiation for the next contract in case of recession? What I have in mind is that the previous time when we suffered with this pandemic and somebody very willingly agreed to the POP and cut us off from the pay raise for 1 year. What if the state tells you, we are in a recession now, we're not going to give you a raise, deal with it, goodbye? What is your strategy?
Well, at the moment, we're building our power and we're getting our membership engaged so that we don't have to take that as an answer from the state. Quite frankly, I find that unacceptable. And I live by the same contract you do. I'm a state employee just like you. So, we made the state work during the pandemic. The essential worker pay offer was from the state was absolutely unacceptable. So the bargaining team, the union leadership is new. It's not the leadership that agreed to things in the past. And we're going at this contract completely differently. So quite frankly, my position is I don't care if there's a recession. Why is that my problem? If the governor and the legislature couldn't plan to take care of us with recession clouds on the horizon, it seems to me that that's their issue. But with that said, we need to be strong enough that we can make a demand. And what is that? That's membership, and we're out doing the work to get our membership up. So if our membership was 75 to 85% in that area, we could make a very strong demand that the state would have to listen to. So help me, join staff, join the other members who are off doing the work of building the union so that we can make a demand and not worry about a recession.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to ask Chris to unmute.
Hello, and thank you. My question, I know you want to keep it on topic, but my classification, either 1303 or 1301, hasn't been reviewed in 10 years. And it is typically an entry-level position with this state, and there's big turnaround. I want to know what the union is planning on doing to possibly look at that. I did email the union. I didn't receive a response. So I figured tonight was the time to ask that question.
Okay, Chris. So what exactly is your job?
I'm a personnel specialist for the state controller's office, but personnel specialists are found in all agencies and all HR shops within the state of California. By not looking at what we get paid and our retention, they are losing people out the door. And it hasn't been reviewed. It needs to be. It needs to be held on to keep people in a position so
Right.
that all these agencies and HR shops can handle the workflow. And now there's so many that have left.
Right. So when people leave, then that means you have to pick up the slack and you have more work to do. Right?
Correct. But if you think about it as a retention thing, other positions within the state have a retention that counts towards their retirement. However, in this position, it's $2,400 and it does not count towards your retirement. So when you leave, you lose that dollar amount right off the top.
So who do you see as a responsible party in this picture?
I would think it would be the union that I'm paying $80 a month to look at trying to get that classification, either, the retention bonus, the earnings rating.
So while we have a role to play, the state has a role to play as well. And what we're seeing with CalHR is they don't admit to having a problem, even though from our side, we see that they have a retention problem. They lose a lot of people every month who have worked for the state between a month and 3 years. And a lot of that has to do with low pay. I absolutely agree that the state has a retention problem in your classification. And your classification is not unique. There are many, 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 many classifications that the state has not looked at, going back into the 90s and earlier.
Correct.
Which is very unfortunate. But that really rests with the state. My task, our task, is to move our membership from roughly 54% back up to at least 68% to where we can make a demand with the state, where we're strong enough and we have enough power, and for any union, the power is the membership. To where we have enough power that the state will be responsive to what we want to engage in. At 54% membership, they're not really too interested in engaging us or giving us anything. Now, that's just our reality. So an active engaged membership is the best solution that we have to fixing everybody's problems. And you're just a symptom of everybody that we represent. 20% of the membership that we represent can't afford a 1-bedroom apartment. 80% of that 20% are Black and brown in color. 70% of the 80% are women. And 62% of the 70% are single parents with children. And on their state salary, they cannot afford a 1-bedroom apartment. I think we have some work to do. It's across the board. I have this data sitting on my desk ready to go in other arenas for other uses. And we haven't been kept up with the cost of living for 20 years. It's across the board. It's everybody, everywhere. None of us are untouched by it at Local 1000. So the work that I'm hoping that we can do is to lift everybody so that we don't have increased workloads, so that there aren't recruitment and retention problems, so that the state does function and that we can do our best working for our employer. Hi, Susanna, can you unmute?
Yeah, hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I have a question. I know what are they have to go to the bargaining table about the essential pay? About
Yeah,
because I think it's not fair that us, we are the first responders in EDD DMB, they was gonna get 6,000 and us 15. Oh no, we deserve more than them because we are the ones out here and they are right there sitting down at the desk.
well,
No. I hope we could get those. They could fight for it because those 6,000, they belong 1,500, not us. I
well,
hope they could bargain for more. Yeah.
the bargaining team put a proposal back to the state that
Yeah.
everybody in Local 1000 gets essential worker pay.
Yeah.
The state did not pass that to us first. It was $1,500 for a very limited group of people.
Oh. Oh.
It now sits with the state, and it's not going to be negotiated or brought to a conclusion anytime soon.
Oh. Okay.
But we are fighting for, and the current ask is
Yes.
$6,000 for every person that we represent, because everybody gave up something in the pandemic to make the state work. I mean, people got to
We
work
lost
from,
family members. I'm sorry. We lost family members. We were risk taking
yeah.
it. Yeah. And then I lost a husband. So, and the cost of living, I know people, some people they can afford, I understand. So,
Well, I, I'm,
so
s- I'm sorry that you lost your husband,
yeah,
Susanna.
yeah.
And yes, I have the data that says people can't afford to live.
Oh, yeah, I have a question. I became steward in July. I'm still waiting for my thing and I message Annika. I haven't got nothing, my lab shirt, my shirt and also my things. It's fun, the thing, the t-shirts and that I get.
So Susanna, are you, you're at DMV?
Yeah, it's no. I work for the corrections, CN as nurse assistant, 770 DL the from the thing, 770 at CCWF. Yeah, CNA. Yeah,
All
I'm
right,
still waiting for my cards, my business cards.
I wrote down your information, and
Okay,
I'll follow up on
okay.
it tomorrow and see if we can get you some help on that,
Oh
okay?
yeah, I have one more question. I'm sorry.
I think you
Okay.
got your,
Oh, okay.
I think
Okay.
you got your
I
two
just
minutes.
message Annika then. Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right.
Bye.
Hi, Fernando. Can you unmute and join us?
All right, I can now, Mr. Director. I'll make this quick because I know those 2 minutes go fast. So first of all, I want to thank some of SEIU 1000 for having our town hall meeting for EDD. So that was I mean, I heard bits and pieces because unfortunately at the same time I was listening to the meeting, I was celebrating a birthday and also but anyway, the good thing is that they were talking about the fact that, they were talking about those offices that were being closed. And of course, that's still going to be an issue that we're having all over the state. So please, Mr. Director, I do ask that, you look into that and why they're closing those offices. Can the governor reopen some of them? Because really, some of our customers need that. Second, I'm glad that they're bringing up the idea that we do need $6,000 because like everybody, we're all facing crunch. And then third, I attended a couple of days ago a meeting with actually yesterday was the supervisor, LA County Supervisor Committee, because of the fact that our partners with SEIU Local 2015, which are the caregivers, they're trying to push them to. We were trying to see if we could push them to go to $20. Now, why do I ask that? Because even though I'm Local 1000, I have a caregiver that's local 2015, and together we need to push each other. So she gets her $20 benefits, and I still keep working for EDD to make sure that even though I have a disability, that will not be affected. I ask you, Mr. Director, let's work with our partners on this because, like I said, I'm SEIU Local 1000. SEIU Local 2015, and we both need to work together on this. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Fernando, we do work with 2015 and we work with 7-1, 5-1, 10-1. We work on big issues through state council in the political world. So we are talking and we are working together. I actually had a conversation earlier this afternoon where we mentioned Los Angeles and supporting issues that were important to both 5-1 and 7-1 down in LA County. So it's a great point. I hope you had a good birthday. It was kind of hard for me to multitask too. I couldn't celebrate a birthday and pay attention to a meeting myself. So the fact that you were able to do any of that is impressive. I appreciate you coming on again tonight. And we will absolutely work with our other SEIU brothers and sisters.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I don't see any hands right now. Does that mean that I have to sit up here and try to, oh, wait a minute, Scott jumped in. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Bill.
How are you tonight?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Pretty well. What's up?
Well, I know you had some other things you wanted to talk about, but there's some things that just aren't getting talked about. So I thought I'd bring them up in my 2 minutes, and then maybe you could answer them. But one is, what's the status on the HR1 with Richard Brown? And is that going to get settled before the end of the year? Because dragging this on to next year is hurting our union. Number two, is anything being done about the people that participated in the occupation of our headquarters? So a lot of them were stewards, and in the past, stewards would have had their stewardship removed for doing something like that. I'm not going to name all the names, but you know who a lot of them are, and they all appeared in his video. Then the third item was, Annika 2 weeks ago brought up about, again, her Norway trip, and it came up again last night, about who all approved that. And then she said that you approved it initially and it approved the process. Yet I remember you sent out a letter that said you hadn't approved it. And I asked her, how is it that she and the executive committee, well, hold on, let me finish that. He and the executive committee, who were the same people that were going to be going to Norway, were able to approve their own trip to Norway. Okay, that's what I wanted to ask.
Okay, stay on just in case I get messed up. Okay, so
No, I'm here.
the HR1 process with Richard is in process. The next hearing is October 28th. So I got to be a little careful because I'm under legal restraints of what I can and can't say. So that Richard is being assured that he has the fairest due process possible. With that said, it may well drag into next year. And while I might share your feelings about the impact on us, there's nothing I can do to change the direction of that process at the moment. So while that may not be the answer that you would prefer to hear, that is the honest answer that I can share with you. So now, since my memory is a little short here, what was your second question, Scott?
The second one was related to all of the people that participated in the occupation of the headquarters. A lot of them were stewards. Some of them even, on e-boards for various CLCs, and yet there's been no action in the past. I mean, the president had the authority to suspend and, didn't take any time wasted to do something like that.
Well, as the chair of the board, I don't have the ability to suspend. The best path of action for that would be for HR1s to be filed against the individuals, and have it go through that process. we have someone who has taken on the role of acting president who has chosen not to take any action in that arena. So I would urge concerned members to file an appropriate HR1. There's plenty of evidence. We have the security tapes. So,
And his video.
and Richard's video and more, right?
Yes.
So the most appropriate way is to do the HR1 process if nobody else is willing to take appropriate action. But I don't have the power to act on that as the chair. That's when we made the changes, that's not a power that the board gave to the chair.
So who would have standing to file those HR1? Just any member or?
Any
Stewart,
member.
or would it-
Any member.
Okay.
That was harm that was done to both the local and the membership. I mean, that's your building. You own that. You know. So you're absolutely empowered to file HR1s or any other steward or any board member. That was a very costly exercise. Both in time, energy, and money. Then your third one was Norway. So at the risk of bringing a whole lot of hate on myself again, I did not agree with or support or approve the Norway trip. When I told Annika that it was a bad idea and I wouldn't approve it, her statement to me was she was going to do it anyway. So she went to David Jimenez as acting president, and they put it together that way. When I realized that they were going to do it anyway, I did intervene in a couple of areas. One, I set a limit, and the limit was, no, you're not taking 10 people, you're not taking more than 5. My other limit is you're not taking staff, you're taking members. And those members should either have something to do with bargaining or they should have something to do with corrections. That was the stand I took. Those were the actions I took. I did choose to have a pushback on union leave with David Jimenez. But that was around the Norway trip, but that wasn't actually the issue. The issue was actually union leave. And then along with that, I stood my ground on airline tickets and would not authorize some very expensive flights. And those had to be handled differently. So I never actually signed off on anything that had to do with that trip, while I did try to have some, I guess, steer it as positively as I could.
That's what I thought, but that's not the way you characterized it 2 weeks in a row. So that's
Well-
not what she's telling the members.
Well,
So I'm
not
glad that you cleared the.
I'm not in control of what other people do.
Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome, Scott. I don't know, seeing no other hands at the moment, I'm either going to have to figure out how to entertain everybody or we're going to end early. Oh, here we go. Hi, Nicole. Can you unmute and join us?
Hi, Bill. Thank you. Just really 2 quick things. You mentioned HR1s. There are several HR1s that it's been, some of them have been at least a year ago since they were filed, and yet nothing has been heard. There's no letters that have been sent as far as what the outcomes of those are. So how can, and this is nothing on you, but the process is to file HR1s, but how do we file HR1s when there already have been several that have been filed and nothing has moved forward?
Well, so, yeah. So there's a couple of different groups here, so it depends on timing when they fell. So when Richard was in the building, he removed a bunch of documents. And I don't believe that we know everything that he removed. So if he removed existing HR1s and we don't have those, we might not even know they exist. So that would be one possibility of why you might not have had a response. The HR1 process under our current policy file, with the exception of myself and the 3 vice presidents, sit under the authority of the acting president. And the person who has chosen to hold that role tightly has been David Jimenez. I haven't seen any real action by David around the HR1 process. Now, when it comes to myself and the 3 VPs, there are currently over 140 HR1s filed against the 4 of us. In September at the board meeting, the boards established a new process for dealing with the HR1s against the statewide officers. And that process is that there's a hearing panel established to hear all HR1s against us. The HR1s go straight to legal and straight to the hearing officer panel. And there's nothing that any of us can do to intervene in that process. And so that process can now go forward as effectively as possible. So not a perfect process, but there's an opportunity here, Nicole. We did a couple of things at the board meeting. So the board authorized a 7-day September 2023 board meeting to deal with the governance of the local. So here's an opportunity to change how we do things. Should all HR1s go through a panel like we just created to deal with the HR1s for the officer? Should it be an automatic process that's non-political, that's handled through the legal department? That would seem reasonable to me in a way to fix some of the problems. So that's always a possibility. And then the board also agreed to set up a committee to look at the governance of Local 1000. And that committee is going to be charged with delivering reports and recommendations within timelines that are early enough that the membership can have a chance to look at them and weigh in on them through their board members. And the board can come together and really look at the governance of Local 1000 as we move towards the 2024 election cycle. So there are some opportunities to really take a look at how Local 1000 conducts itself internally and to make some changes. So I look at it more as the glass is half full than half empty. And I would say if you haven't, if you're not satisfied with how HR1s have been handled, to reach out to our legal department. If you email Ronnie, I think it's retheridge@seiu1000.org. She's in the legal department and she can either do the research or get you an answer on your particular case, let you know if she even has it. But she's sort of the point person in legal that deals with the HR1 process. And with that, I'm going to go back over here to P. Nikolov.
Again, my first name is Peter, by the way.
Oh, Peter. Okay, Peter. I can work with that. Thank you.
two quick questions, and I apologize in advance if I sound incompetent with regard to my second question, but my first question is why we are still not getting the stipend for the remote work. And the second one is there a place online where we can see what the union supports and opposes with regard to the upcoming elections?
Okay. So your first question is, so I'm assuming it's a telework stipend, and the state is really messed up and really slow on getting these fixed. A lot of people have not, they've started getting a check or two, but they haven't gotten their back money yet. And that's just, our employer is slow. The computer systems are antiquated, just like they haven't invested in us. They haven't invested in their hardware and software. So it takes them a very long time to respond to things and move forward. And then on the website, there is a section on our website for the 2022 elections. It talks about becoming a political volunteer. You can learn about our positions. You will be getting mail at your house. I've already started to get some mail from SEIU at my house on what we support and don't support. And then we can always get you direct answers to direct questions through our political department. So if you have something that you're really concerned about, you can email me, bhall@seiu1000.org. And the very least I'll do is connect you with the person who can answer your question.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then, I guess the last piece of that is we have a whole COPE committee, a committee on political education that interviews candidates, makes recommendations on what we support, what we don't support based on the members' views and input from the recommendations. And all of our COPE spending, which is a voluntary donation or contribution over and above your dues. That's all members who decide how that money gets spent in politics for the benefit of everyone to move our issues forward in the political world. So if you'd like to talk a little more about that, jump back into the line, think about your question, and we can talk a little more, Peter.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good evening, Victoria. Can you unmute and join us?
Hi, Bill.
Hi, Victoria. How are you?
I'm doing fine. On a different note, I've had some members that asked questions about the T-shirt campaign. And
Oh, you mean to design a T-shirt?
yes,
Okay.
and some of the questions were like, some of the members I want to submit designs. They don't have the software. They come up with the design, but they don't have software to color in certain parts like purple and gold. So their questions are, and I went ahead and on their behalf, I went ahead and emailed the unit, that says if you have any questions and where you submit your design. But that was 2 weeks ago and I didn't get a response. So that's why I was bringing it up. Can the members, if they have a design, simply designate this part's supposed to be purple, this part's supposed to be gold, and will that be good enough for submission?
I'm getting a nod over here as I look in the corner of the room from one of the people who's heavily invested in this whole thing, to their own demise. I'm getting a nod. So if people don't have fancy software and they just want to type in, gold or purple with an arrow or something, or in the area, I think we'll figure out how to work with that.
Okay, and so the two colors that are to be used is the gold and purple, and there's no other colors like black or anything like that. Is that the idea?
Not necessarily. our colors, our union colors are purple and gold. So
Right.
the parameters are that those colors have to be incorporated. The design has to work on a purple t-shirt, right?
Yes,
And then it has to incorporate contract 2023 and our local 1000 logo, right?
right.
But outside of that, I don't think I'm missing any parameters. I'm getting a no, so I think I've got it all correct, because this is out of memory tonight.
Okay,
So, we tried to keep it, we tried to have some certain parameters, but we also tried to make it as open to be as creative as possible.
okay.
So I'm glad there's some excitement, and there's an opportunity for a prize for a change. Can you imagine?
I know. So some of the members had asked me about that. And so I said, okay, I'll go ahead and email. And I didn't get a response. So my reason for bringing it up. So, okay, that's information I can impart to them. And
Please.
hopefully their designs will come in. I think the deadline's the end of this month. So, okay,
Yes.
sounds good to me. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, we're trying to get them designed, judged, winner recognition, and printed. So, and that all has a timeline to it, right?
Right. So I think the deadline for submission is at the 29th, I think.
I believe it is.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Hi, Lynn. Can you unmute and join us?
Hi, Bill. How are you?
I'm great. A long time no talk. It was nice to have you come visit tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, long time. So I had 3 questions. You just answered one with Victoria about the teachers. My second question, the second question is, I'm getting members at my work site asking about the essential workers pay. When will SEIU be meeting with the state again on that issue? And I know we're on an open line, so.
Yeah, so it's currently sits in the state's hands, and it's up to
Okay.
them to decide to come back to us. If I was going to read the tea leaves as my understanding, and I'm not part of the bargaining team, right? But
Mhm.
with my understanding, I would tell people that realistically, this isn't going to get settled till next year.
Realistically, okay.
I mean,
All
that's
right.
just that's being honest with people. Now, if something changes with the state and they come back to us and something happens that would surprise me at this point, then it would happen sooner. But they've got no need to settle this with us.
Okay. And the third question is that I have a couple of members at my work site saying they cannot get a hold of their chairperson. Their chairperson is not returning any emails or calls. So I believe, let's see,
Bargaining,
referring or
what's the bargaining unit?
bargaining unit 15? Is that? Let's see, I think that's either 14 or 15. I get the custodians and this other unit mixed up. So the custodians is,
If it's the custodians, it's 15.
okay, so it's 14.
It's 14.
Yes. And they are wondering, do they reach out to
So
Irene?
bargaining unit 14 are the printers and that
Correct.
trades group? Okay, yep, that's 14. I would say
Because they've emailed their chair.
I understand.
Yes.
I would say email the chair again and CC Irene Green.
Okay.
So I Green at SEIU 1000.
Okay. All right.
And Irene can step in. Please ask him to be patient because everything's ramping up and we're all super busy.
I know. And thank you for the work that you and the Beeps are doing.
Oh, well, thank you for that. I actually appreciate, even more so than you might appreciate me, I appreciate the work that everybody's doing out in the field to build membership and to rebuild the power of Local 1000. I mean, we can't succeed without that work. I know that you're doing that work, and it's recognized and appreciated.
Thank you very much. I got 2 new members today. Well, not 2
Oh,
new, but yeah, non-members that signed up too.
excellent,
Yes.
excellent.
So
It,
thank
it
you for that.
it seems that they do happen one at a time.
They do. They do. And a lot of them think that they're already members. So just having that conversation or with them. So now I have to get them to contribute.
Yeah, yeah. So Lynn, let me just ask you a quick question. Are you using the app-based stuff to do that work?
I am.
And how's that working for you?
It's challenging. Some even though I have to do the app, I still have to do their email, and then hopefully if they have a contact number. But a lot of people working from home are aren't using, well, at least at my agency, they're not using their desk phone. They're using their personal phone, or if they have a state phone, and it's hard to get in contact with them when they're on state time. So yeah, I find that challenging.
Yeah, we're finding that same challenge all across. You're
Yeah,
not unique in that.
yeah. And my agency hasn't returned to coming into the office. It's like 90% are still out.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so
Yeah,
just
different
do the best that we
agencies.
can.
Yeah, different agencies are doing it different all across the state.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks, Lynn, and thanks for the 2 new members.
Thank you, and thank you for all you do.
All right, thank you. Have a great evening.
You too. Bye.
Hi, Darren. Can you unmute and join us?
Hello, Bill.
Hi.
I was just calling. I was calling in to ask about I'm from Unit 1, work at Franchise Tax Board,
Okay.
and I work graveyard shift. So I was just calling to see, in 2018, I believe, my shift, we did a proposal and everything for the differential for it to be raised, because we're only getting 50 cents per hour. And nothing came about it. So I was calling to see if we can push for a differential change for off shifts.
I'm
The next
sure
contract.
I'm sure that's something we could take up. I mean, remember, I'm not on the bargaining team. I don't work the proposals. However, let's talk about the picture of what this is for a minute. So there was already initial survey that went out that people could answer online. There'll be more surveys coming out. People don't believe this, but the bargaining team actually reads, collates, and catalogs every single survey that members fill out and submit. They sit and they do that work until it's done. I did it once years ago. It was a pretty amazing experience, and they still do it. So if you fill out a survey, your response will be cataloged and examined. The other piece of this is we'll be doing town halls. So that's a place where you will be able to show up either in person or virtually and express your needs, problems, issues that you want addressed in the next contract.
Yes, good.
So those are opportunities that are coming forward. You also have the opportunity or option to email Unit 1. I don't, you may have to check with the MRC on this, but I think it's Unit 1 at SEIU1000.org. And
Okay.
that's a mailbox for the Unit 1 chair. And the Unit 1 bargaining team. So
Okay.
if you send something into that email address, that's another way that they'll receive information.
Well, we did all the hall meetings and everything in the past, and we worked pretty hard at it, and we gave the proposal and everything, and nothing came about it.
Well,
So
remember that it's it's a negotiation, right? So it's not just what we ask for on the union side, it's also what the state is willing to do. And I'm going to go back to, something that I keep saying. It's about membership. Membership is power. People who are not members, there's a cost to non-membership. The cost of non-membership up front is you're going to have less because the state's only going to give us what they think they have to give us. That's the reality of negotiating a contract with any employer. So membership is our power. And then what makes it better is when we have an engaged and active membership. And I can assure you that if we were at 90% membership, we wouldn't have to beg at the table. We could make a demand. And that demand would be taken much more seriously because we have the ability at 90% membership to really impact the state with our job actions. So, you're not alone, and I'm sure that doesn't help when I say that, but you're not alone. I mean, there's been many different groups that we've had to go back and fight for, and it's been 10 years before we actually got them what we were trying to get them, for 10 years, for 3+ contract cycles. So that's the honest reality of what we live in.
okay, saying that, you talk about membership, which I know is important, and you guys have been working hard, but there's instances like I'm not sure what her name was that was talking about how sometimes people don't get back to people. The union never gets back to somebody, and that's
Sure.
what hurts. That's what hurts. That's what hurts us.
I understand. And
Yeah.
look, I walked in the door in March. I spent 9 months, well, not months, I spent 7 months trying to make a difference in the organization because of the problems that I saw as a board member. In March, this organization was not functioning.
Yeah.
It was completely broken. That's the reality. Today, we're doing a pretty good job. I mean, we're back up, we're running. For the most part, staff is working together and doing a good job. We have members out doing the work. We're talking to people. We're having conversations. We're available. I'm available. Do we have everything fixed? Are we perfect? No. But, while it sounds like a lot of money, we're running a balanced budget, and it takes $46 million a year to run this operation. And we're running a balanced budget with the staff that we have.
Yeah.
Which means that we don't have enough staff. Honestly, our staff is carrying a lot of work. So one of the solutions to that is to have more stewards in the work site that can actually answer the questions and get you the assistance that you need. Somebody who works on the same floor or maybe in the same work group or maybe just down the hall, right? And we don't have enough of people who will step up, be stewards, and be available in the workplace and do the work for their coworkers. I don't know. I over the years have found that the rewards that I've felt by my accomplishments as a steward have outweighed the work and the grief that I've gotten from time to time. Hasn't hurt my state career in being a steward.
Mhm.
So while it's not right that you're not getting your calls and your inquiries responded to, it's absolutely not right that you're not getting any answer.
Well, no, myself,
you know.
myself, I have had no issues, and
Right.
I've worked with Lonnie, and he's excellent. He always gets
Lonnie,
back to me.
yeah, Lonnie's great, but again, let's go back to staff. Lonnie covers 2 DLCs. Lonnie's membership representation is roughly 6,000 people. Well, maybe not quite that many, maybe 5,500. That's way too many people for one staff person to effectively respond to.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. I mean, Lonnie's got way too many people that he's got to try to respond to.
But
And
he's done a good job for myself. So
I think Lonnie's doing a great job. I'm just telling you the reality. The reality is one rep cannot respond and handle the needs of 5,500 people effectively. Now, as we get our membership up, we can address that by bringing in more staff at that level. And that will help people get their needs responded to quicker. The other is to have more effective, well-trained stewards in the workplace that have the information or know better how to get their question answered, or can even just have the conversation that we're having. Hey, hang in there. You're not alone. Sometimes it takes several contract issues to get people's issues resolved. It's not that the union doesn't ask. It's not that the bargaining team doesn't do the work. It's that the state has to agree to it as well. So if we want the state to agree to more, then membership has to be higher. One person sort of explained it to me like this on their perspective. At 53% membership, we get 53 cents of every dollar we ask for. At 90% membership, we get 90 cents on the dollar that we ask for. That's the way they think bargaining works. That's their experience. And they're from another local. But I thought that was an interesting way to look at it, right? So it is a power dynamic. We do have to get the state to agree. And that's the work that we're doing. We're doing the work to change the power dynamic.
Okay. Well, I just want to apologize to all the members for taking so much time.
That's okay. I think the reason why I stayed with this, Darren, was because I thought it was of value for most people on the call.
Yes.
So,
Thank
hey,
you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darren, and have a great evening.
All right. Thank you.
Hi, Marshall. Can you join us?
Hey there, Mr. Hall. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Fantastic.
So
I just want to give a shout out to our DLC 729 in Central Valley. Within the last 3 weeks, we've been hitting our health fairs and setting up a booth. And within the last 3 weeks, we've signed up 50 new members.
Hey.
Yep, thanks to our president, Nancy Martinez, our vice president. Shout out to Latrice Dickerson, myself, the district bargaining unit rep for bargaining unit 1, Andrea Smith, job steward, and our URC rep, Ryan Brown. We're trying to push the buggy here along, but we still are out there fighting. We'll be going to Porterville, I think, next week to see what we can get going out there. But to anybody that really wants to know, it does take the unity in the numbers. The members are our power. And it really is going to take those numbers for the state to really take notice of anything that we ask. If those numbers are not at the table, they don't even are obligated to even have a conversation with us. And I know as a traveling team with the analysts, the CCRAs, One of the things that I seen when we went to every state site that had our classification for this reclassification. And one of the things that really hurt that I seen was fear. I know that our administration teams at these state agencies put a lot of fear in the members, and they're reluctant to step up and ask questions. But that's the only way we're gonna get somewhere, is we're gonna have to step across that line, and we're gonna have to cancel out fear to be able to get what we need. So I just wanna say, just go out there and do the best job you can do. And remember, value yourself. If you can't find someone, if you can't find a job steward, call the MRC, get a hold of somebody. I know with our DLC, we kind of cross-train each other. Larry Griggs is a bargaining unit 4 over at North Kern. I'm a 1. I send him information to give to my analyst over there. And it goes like that. With the medical side of the house, is the same thing. We cross over one another. We help each other. And it's going to take that. So I just want to pass that along and just say, everybody have a good night.
Well, thanks, Marshall, and thanks for letting us know about the membership work you're doing. That's great. So I was down in your area a while back, and I was out with Ryan. So yeah, we just keep moving the work forward. So thanks. And let's see, I'm over here. I think I'm back to Scott. Hey, Scott.
Hi again. I had one more thing I was going to bring up or ask about. And that's, I think that there's been 2 board meetings now, but I don't recall we've seen any minute, any documentation. And I thought, because we are a corporation and, it's a board of directors, they're required to put out, in addition to the agendas beforehand, minutes on any decisions that were, what was discussed and any decisions made, even in executive session. So are we going to be seeing minutes sometime soon, or are we going to have to do something as members to push the issue?
No, there were minutes. We had a bunch of corrections. The minutes were adopted in September for at least June. There may have been some other minutes going back earlier as well. So just keep in mind that there was no board meetings under President Brown.
That's true.
And there have been meeting notes and minutes all the way through. There are there were some things that there were not minutes on in executive session because there were items discussed in executive session that cannot be made public because they will harm both the local and the membership. And with that in mind, if a member ever wanted to come in and examine those, they could make an appointment and actually come in and look at them in person. But we're trying to keep the bulk of the work open in open session. Now, we're not broadcasting it on Facebook anymore, and it is a little more difficult for members to participate right now, but we are trying to make sure that members can get into the general session and see what's going on for themselves. As we move back to in-person meetings or an in-person hybrid, starting March of 2023, we'll go back to the way it used to be, where if you're in the area or if you want to travel to the meeting and you want to sit in the back of the room as a guest, you'll be able to do that again.
Okay. But so when do you anticipate something and where do you go to see them without having to travel to Sacramento for like minutes of this last meeting? I mean, there was a lot of motions on that agenda, which could have affected the union, including, removing you as chair and no results.
Okay, well,
Obviously,
hey,
you weren't removed because there you are. So
hey,
that gives us one answer, but there's just a lot of things that we need to know.
between June and September, we actually did quite a bit of work overall. Hang on a second, I'll be right back.
But I just wanted to.
So I just was confirming so I don't misspeak, and get myself in hot water with any of my staff. So the best answer for you, Scott, is the minutes go out to every board member. So your DLC president has them. You can go to your DLC president. Your DLC president can share them with you if you request that. If you're unsuccessful in that effort, make a request to your DLC president, CC me at bhall@seiu1000.org, and we'll see what we can do to remedy that and make sure that people have the information.
Okay. I know my DLC president will definitely share, and I'm on their e-board. So, but still,
Yeah.
I think there are other DLCs where information is being held very tightly and it doesn't get shared.
Well, that's up to the members to make a fuss about that as well, because they have an absolute right to ask for it just like you did.
Okay. Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome. Hi, Sylvia. Can you unmute and join us?
Hi, Bill.
Hi.
Again, I've been listening and, just kind of like I normally do, just want to listen to see what's going on. And Scott hit the nail on the head with something that was concerning me. Because ever since we've gone to Zoom, I have really enjoyed, I'm not necessarily participating because I'm not on the board, but being there to watch it. And because it has taught me so much being able to see that. And when you're not able to actually be there in person, like the way I guess it was expected before, have to go all the way to Sacramento and of course not be reimbursed for going through all that trouble. This was a much more economical, a much more favorable method of doing it for the members. And that's exactly what I think the board is not seeing, is how it really is not in touch with its members. And that's becoming a turnoff. I can't tell you how many times I run into people who really just feel very indifferent, and that's disastrous. When we get to the point where people feel indifferent about their union, meaning they neither love it or hate it, that's death. And I think we need to, as a union, go out of our way to include them, to be more inclusive of what we are as a union. And one of those ways is keeping communication open and having, allowing us to view what's going on. And I was kind of surprised with this last board meeting, because before I was able to watch the board meeting, but this time I was only allowed to go to what they called the general session. I'm using air quotes, and which was just all presentations. I never got to see the actual board meeting. And then of course there was breakout rooms for the human rights groups. But that's, there was a big chunk in there that we were locked out of. Not to mention we don't have access to the agendas or the minutes or anything.
Let's talk about that a little bit. So you can have access to the agenda and the minutes through your DLC president. Going forward, we're going to maintain some type of a hybrid meeting. So there is intention for the membership to be able to watch remotely going forward. It will not be broadcast live on Facebook. we just shouldn't put our business out in the public in that
I
fashion,
totally agree with you right there.
right?
Yes.
And I agree with you that we need to make it as easy and as transparent for people as we can. Now, with that said, the certain individuals on the board wanted a Sunday session to be an executive session. So they made a motion to move to executive session. There was a vote, and the board decided to change Sunday from a general session to an executive session. And that's just what happens sometimes. Now, I could see where the membership might take issue with that. When I planned the meeting, I did not plan Sunday to be a closed executive session. I had planned it to be an open session. But under the rules of how meetings work and boards work, the board has that as an option to them. Now, what I would say is if you're unhappy with those kind of decisions and actions, that you take that up with your DLC president and have a conversation about your preferences to be able to see, observe, and understand what the board is doing. I hope, so Sylvia, does that help at all? Does that answer your question about a little bit about what happened and what we will be doing going forward? I think Sylvia muted herself. You can unmute again, Sylvia.
I'm sorry, I had to mute because my cat won't stop meowing.
Oh, that's okay. You can let the cat meow. I have a couple of those at home too.
Okay, yeah, and no, I understand that part, but then again, there's always like, I don't know how much of an impact that's going to have if you have maybe one DLC president who brings it to the attention and the rest of the board is, oblivious to that going on or doesn't really care. Not that I'm accusing of not caring, but there's so many issues coming up. They come up, and I would like to expand my mind just learning more. It seems like no matter how much you want to put yourself out there with the union, the only thing they want you to do is political work.
Well, no, that's not true. I mean, we have a lot of other very, very important work, and the work that I'm asking everybody to do is track down their coworkers who aren't members and get them to join. There's a lot of avenues and a lot of different work that we do. And the entry into that work is through stewardship. That's sort of the opening portal to union engagement and involvement. It allows us to take you off on union leave. It gives us some different avenues to work with you through the state. So actually, the work that we do is far and varied. It's not just politics by any stretch. And with that, I just want to, the majority of the board of Local 1000 really is concerned about the membership. It may not be everybody on the board, but it is the majority. They're good people who give up their time and really do have the same concerns and frustrations that you express and want to move Local 1000 forward. I like to think of myself as being in that group of people. Hopefully what I demonstrate shows that I am. So I appreciate you calling in, Sylvia, and watch what we're doing. We do more than just politics, and we will work on keeping the board meetings accessible to our members as we go forward.
Okay, well, thank you so much for taking my call and hearing me out. I appreciate it.
Thanks for calling in, and think about being a steward. Come join us.
Oh, I am a steward.
Oh, okay, super. Well, then let's figure out how to get you a little more involved, Sylvia.
Okay.
Hi, Francesca. Can you unmute?
I did. Thank you, Bill. This may be a naive question based regarding the minutes discussion that you just had with a couple of the members.
Sure.
But wouldn't a simple solution, rather than folks having to track down their president and or you to try to get access to the minutes, to just distribute those minutes to, via email? Or is there a concern that that would spread the minutes too far and wide, with too little control over who might get to see them?
Well, I think there's probably far and wide control issues for one.
Okay.
And then I've got, give me a moment here. I've got my executive assistant, Michelle, who I lean on heavily, trying to get my attention and asking me to mute for a moment. So let me go over here and talk to Michelle for a minute, but don't go away.
I won't.
All right. So Michelle was just expressing a couple of sort of logistical concerns. So we have never distributed the minutes by email. I think that might be a dangerous practice. They are available through your DLC president. Your DLC president gets the board package, which has the minutes in it prior to every board meeting. And I would strongly encourage people to, participate in their local DLC meetings, ask the questions, ask to want to review the minutes or have the minutes shared with them. That is the most appropriate vehicle we have at the moment.
Okay.
And it's probably in the best interest of the local overall. The other thing, just to go back for a second and make sure that I was clear about this. So Sunday's board meeting was the Sunday portion of the board meeting was scheduled to be an open general session. The board voted to change it to an executive session. Once that happened, the general membership is not able to participate. And the reason for that is that the board believed it was going to discuss matters that would cause harm to Local 1000 if they were out in the general public. So some of those are our finances. Some of those are labor relations issues, as a couple of examples. Some of those could be active legal cases that the board has some reason to hear updates on or take action on. And that's the reason for executive session. So the board on Sunday chose to go into executive session because they felt like they were going to be discussing potential employee-related issues that related to UAW 2350, our staff's union. And that was why they wanted to go into executive session on Sunday. So I hope that that's clear to people in that explanation, especially for people who aren't familiar with how this all works on an ongoing basis, because it is complicated. Did that help, Sylvia?
It was Francesca, and you answered as I thought you might with regard to the minutes, and that makes sense.
You put your hand down and you dropped off. That's why
I'm sorry, I confused you
That's
by
okay.
putting my hand down.
I apologize for calling you Sylvia, although Sylvia seems like a really
That's
great person
okay.
too.
I'll go by anything you want to call me by.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for calling in. I hope that helps you. And
Yes.
please keep tuning into the board meetings as we go forward.
Yep. Thank you.
Good evening, Kevin. How are you tonight?
Doing well. Good evening. Hey, I just want to tag one more thing on to Francesca, because I'm also on the board of directors. The reason that we went there was something brand new that came up that morning. And because I'm getting these calls in my DLC of saying, hey, didn't you have a schedule? We did. But because a brand new agenda item came on that needed to go in an executive session direction, that we had to do what we needed to do to protect the organization. So part of it was the last minute nature of that new thing that came up. So, I mean, that's as far as I think any of us can go on it, but my members have been having the same questions about it. But, I just want to say, I want to thank everybody. I mean, even the people taking their evenings tonight, we've got to leverage all of this energy out here to get every single person signed up. And sometimes it seems hard, but when you start getting that ball rolling, one or two, and they get the word, I just had a very strong discipline case where someone got a fair deal, and they were shocked at what a good deal it was because they had union representation. They were anti-union. I got her to go out there and sign up 2 more people. And it's all these little things that we do as positive stewards that snowballs and will get us across that finish line with membership. So I encourage everybody to keep doing it, because we're not going to do it unless we do it together. And I appreciate your leadership on this, and I think we're going in the right direction.
So with that, don't we have 2 DMVs now in your DLC that are at 100%?
I believe so. And the other ones are getting close.
Yeah.
And we've got a very, very strong steward in Teresa Swift that I think is going places in this union. A year ago, she wasn't even a steward. And she's grown like that. So many people can do that. You've worked with her, I've worked with her. And I love these diamonds in the rough that are getting all shiny.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, I want to, just acknowledge like the DMVs across the state, membership's coming back up. We've got quite a few now that are back to 99, 100%. So, we can do this. We just have to get out and do the work.
As soon as they see the value, it seems to make the difference.
And just to go back to your first part of your statement, for people who haven't been on a board of directors or haven't participated in this for a long time, they can seem kind of confusing and ours probably even seem a little tumultuous, but it is, there are rules, and this is the way boards function. And as you brought up, things do change. And there are times where there has to be a pivot made very quickly. And to someone who doesn't really understand how this works, it would be very confusing. So thanks for chiming in. I've got no more hands up. Oh, wait a minute. Candy has a hand up.
Nice.
I couldn't resist. So we're at almost 7:50. Do I have any other questions? I don't think anybody wants me just to rattle on. So I guess my closing for tonight would be, please reach out and get involved in our political work, and politics isn't everything we do, but this is election season. We have some very, very important races all across the state. We need to make sure that we do our best to elect our employers who are at least labor friendly and support our values. And we have a lot of key races all across the state. There's 22 assembly districts, I believe, that are up for open elections this year. And it's important that we elect as many labor-friendly people in those elections as possible. There are other races that are important to SEIU in general, the Los Angeles mayor's race, labor-friendly people here in Sacramento, assembly districts down in the Bay Area in Alameda, and a lot of these county races are critical to our members because the resources that they rely on to assist them in downturns and in struggles and a variety of services that come to their homes are at the county level. So it really starts at home and works all the way to Sacramento. And every bit of it is important to the quality of our lives. And I just would like to assure everybody that Local 1000 understands that our members haven't been taken care of for 20 years, that they are hurting, whether it be at the grocery store, the gas pump, or the rent check, and that we're fully focused on doing something about that. And I'm going to come back over here to Fernando again. Hi again, Fernando.
Yeah, I had a question about that with the elections coming up. Are they gonna need a lot of volunteers from SEIU to start making phone calls or do campaigns for this upcoming election?
Yeah, we're going to be doing phone banking, texting, precinct walking for the candidates that we've endorsed and support. And most of that work will be starting, I think, on the 15th.
I'm sorry, when again? I missed that part.
I believe most of that work starts on October 15th.
Okay.
Are you interested in doing some?
Yes, I am, just to help out in the campaigns. So yes, I am.
And you're down in Los Angeles?
Sir, LA, Glendale to be precise, but yeah.
All right, Fernando, I'll make sure I pass your name up so that somebody reaches out to you and makes your life a little easier around this.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
So, I think we'll run this just like we run the closing of our board meeting. Kevin Healy, can I have a motion to close debate? I got a thumbs up and a smile. Do I have any objections? Seeing no hands, I guess I have no objections. So with that, good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great evening and continue to build membership.